But you acting weird. You are. Cause I'm telling you to join us, and you saying no. Well, that's crazy.
It's not crazy.
He realized that his hands are too quick. Don't stay away from him. Get close to him and get him before the fight.
When he people off, but when he there's that count. Vicious body shots and picking off. Escobedo trying to hang on.
Broner trying to stop it.
And to make 130.
Low left caught Litzau. Broner misses with some wild shots as he caught Litzau's attention.
There's no question it hurt him.
Mouthpiece is out. Good uppercut. Litzau's down.
Nah, I'm not thinking.
Yo, ain't gonna lie. Yo, ain't gonna lie.
There was a time when Adrian Broner was supposed to be the next Floyd Mayweather. Same shoulder roll, same trash talk, same nickname energy.
Adrian Billionaire Broner. I'm
Exactly.
About billions. He was a 4-division world champion before he turned 26. A kid out of the rough side of Cincinnati who turned 300 amateur wins into $30 million, a fleet of luxury cars, and a private jet lifestyle that he broadcast to the entire world. And earlier this year, by the most widely cited estimates, that same man was only worth around $100,000. Until he started streaming. He is streaming himself drunk to strangers for tips. He is reportedly selling shout-outs for the price of a nice dinner, and hanging over his head is a court judgment for sexual assault that he has never paid. A judgment that has already landed him behind bars more than once. So, the question this video is going to answer, factually and carefully, is the one everybody is asking. Has Adrien Broner finally hit rock bottom? The honest answer is more complicated than the headline, and a lot more revealing than the clips going viral right now. Streaming seems to be getting him back on his feet. But hold on a minute, because this is not just a story about a boxer who lost his money. It is a story about a man who keeps daring the legal system to come and get him. So stick with me, and let's walk through exactly how the next Mayweather became one of the most cautionary tales in modern sports. Let's get into it.
She bought a bottle.
Personal vendetta against me.
Nah, man. Why? She been around and ain't sucked no dick yet. She just around niggas. She just around niggas.
To understand how far he has fallen, you have to understand how high he was flying, because the talent was never the problem. Adrien Jerome Broner was born on July 28, 1989, in Cincinnati, Ohio. He has said many times that boxing is the only thing that kept him out of the streets, and that without it, he likely would not have survived his neighborhood at all. He laced up gloves at 6 years old, and by the time he turned professional in 2008, he had built an amateur record of roughly 300 wins against just 19 losses. That is not a prospect. That is a phenomenon. He knocked out his very first professional opponent in the opening round, and for years afterward, he barely lost a meaningful exchange, blowing through opponents with a speed and a swagger that made him appointment television. The boxing world looked at his reflexes, his hand speed, and that slick Mayweather-style shoulder roll defense, and they crowned him the heir apparent before he had even fully arrived. Floyd Mayweather himself took him under his wing, and the comparisons were everywhere. They called him the problem. They called him about billions. And for a glorious few years, both of those names fit him perfectly. The belts came fast, faster than they come for almost anyone in the entire sport. In 2011, Broner won his first world title, the WBO super featherweight belt, stopping Vicente Martin Rodriguez. In 2012, he moved up a division and took the WBC lightweight title from Antonio DeMarco in a genuinely dominant performance, breaking DeMarco down over 12 rounds and announcing himself as a legitimate star with real power and real polish. Then in 2013, he leapfrogged all the way up to welterweight and beat the popular Paulie Malignaggi by split decision in Malignaggi's own backyard, walking out with the WBA welterweight belt and a career-high purse of around $1.5 million. And being Broner, he could not resist the microphone afterward, infamously bragging that he came into the man's hometown and took his belt and his girl.
Negative. I'm good. I beat Polly. I left with his belt and his girl. I'm just saying, you lost. I know, though. But hold on. Wait, don't brag about taking my sidekicks. Don't brag about taking my sidekicks.
By 2015, he had added a fourth divisional title, the WBA Super Lightweight belt, beating Khabib Alakverdiev. 4 weight classes, 4 world titles, all before the age that most fighters even hit their physical prime. On paper, Adrien Broner was everything that boxing had been praying for. A young, marketable, supremely gifted American star, ready to carry the sport into its next era. But here is where the story starts to turn, and it turned inside the ring first, before any of the chaos outside it. In December of 2013, just months after that signature win over Malignaggi, Broner ran into an Argentine tank named Marcos Maidana. Maidana did not care about the shoulder roll, the showboating, or the highlight reels. He simply walked Broner down, knocked him to the canvas not once but twice, and handed the problem the first professional loss of his life, exposing a defensive style that suddenly looked a whole lot less untouchable than the hype suggested. And that fight became a blueprint that other fighters would follow. Broner would talk like the best fighter on the planet in the build-up, and then come up short on the exact nights that were supposed to define him. He dropped a decision to Sean Porter. He got comprehensively outboxed by Mikey Garcia in a fight that one outlet scored a 12-round shutout. He was even stripped of a title once for failing to make weight. The flashes of brilliance were still there in glimpses, but the discipline, the focus, the actual work in the gym, all of it was visibly slipping. The man who was anointed to inherit Mayweather's throne was slowly becoming far better known for what he did outside the ropes than anything he did between them. Then came January of 2019, and the fight that, in a lot of ways, closed the book on him as a serious contender. Adrien Broner stepped into the ring against the living legend Manny Pacquiao, a man who was already in his 40s at the time. For his trouble, Broner was reportedly guaranteed a purse of around $2.5 million before any pay-per-view money, one of the biggest single paydays of his entire career. And Pacquiao gave him a boxing lesson. Broner lost a clear, wide, unanimous decision in front of the whole world. And then, in a moment that became its own viral clip, he tried to argue on live television that he had actually won the fight, a claim that almost nobody watching took remotely seriously. That was the night the boxing establishment quietly stopped treating Adrien Broner as a championship-level threat. He has fought only a small handful of times since then, including a forgettable unanimous decision loss to Blair Cobbs in June of 2024. And he has not looked like a genuinely world-class fighter in years. For most of his life, the ring had given him everything he had: the fame, the belts, the money, the identity. And now, slowly but unmistakably, the ring was done giving. So let's talk about the money, because this is where the phrase rock bottom really comes into focus. Over the full course of his career, Adrien Broner is estimated to have earned somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 million. Million-dollar purses against Malignaggi, against Adrian Granados, against Jesse Vargas. That multi-million-dollar guarantee for the Pacquiao fight. Television money, pay-per-view upside, sponsorships built around his About Billions brand. This was a man who had every conceivable opportunity to be financially set for the rest of his life and the lives of his kids. And today, the most widely cited estimate of his net worth sits at around $100,000. A few outlets guess higher, throwing out numbers based on assets that may or may not still exist, but the overwhelming consensus paints the picture of a fortune that is essentially gone. So where does $30 million actually go? by his own repeated accounts, and by widespread reporting, it went to gambling, to a constant and massive entourage, to supporting a large extended family with multiple children and the child support that comes attached, and to a lifestyle built entirely on the assumption that the enormous checks would simply never stop arriving. He has talked openly, almost casually, about the pressure of another year on the sidelines, meaning another year of child support, school clothes, and new phones for his kids. The money was always flowing out faster than even a 4-division champion could bring it in.
Yup. After looking at that visual right there, I'm getting back in shape. It's over with.
And nothing captures that recklessness quite like the mansion. In 2016, Broner posted a video giving fans a grand tour of what he called his $6 million Atlanta mansion, complete with a sweeping staircase and a saltwater pool, making a point to look into the camera and remind everyone that he was not renting, that he owned all of it outright. The problem is that public property records later indicated he never actually owned that home at all. By every appearance, it was a rental being used as a prop, a stage set to project a fake billionaire image to his audience. And that one detail tells you almost everything about the gap between the Adrien Broner brand and the Adrien Broner reality. The brand was unlimited abundance. The reality underneath it was a man performing wealth he did not have, spending money he had not kept, and borrowing against an image that was already starting to crack. It was a financial house of cards, and it was only a matter of time before something knocked it down. And the single most humiliating illustration of that collapse happened not in a boxing ring, but in a courtroom, and it ties directly into the legal storm we are about to walk through. In a 2020 court filing, Adrien Broner stated under oath that he had just $13.65 in cash to his name. $13? A former 4-division world champion who had earned tens of millions. But here is the part that turned a sad financial story into a legal one. Right around that very same time, Broner posted a video on Instagram flashing large stacks of cash. A judge saw that video. And that exact contradiction, claiming total poverty in a court filing while waving fistfuls of money around online, is precisely the kind of behavior that has repeatedly dragged Adrien Broner toward a jail cell. To understand why a judge cared so much and why she had the power to lock him up over it, we have to go back to the night that changed the entire trajectory of his life. On June 8, 2018, Adrien Broner was at a nightclub called Park Social in Cleveland, on a night when the city was buzzing over the NBA Finals. According to court records and the woman's own complaint, Broner approached a woman he did not know as she sat on a couch with friends, pushed himself onto her, pinned her down, and forcibly kissed her against her will as she struggled to get free. The complaint states that one of Broner's own friends eventually pulled him off of her, only after a bystander moved to take a photo of what was happening. The woman reported the incident to Cleveland police immediately. Out of respect for her privacy, we are going to refer to her only by the pseudonym the court itself used, Catherine Larson. This was not a rumor, and it was not a tabloid story that faded away. It became a serious criminal case, and every detail you just heard comes directly from official court filings, not from speculation. Here is exactly what happened legally, and the precision genuinely matters, because fairness matters. In October of 2018, Broner was indicted by a grand jury on felony charges, including gross sexual imposition and abduction. Those are serious felonies that carry real prison time. But the case never went to a felony trial. In April of 2019, Broner accepted a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanors, assault and unlawful restraint. For that, a Cuyahoga County judge sentenced him to 6 months in jail, but then suspended that sentence, placing him instead on 2 years of probation, along with a $1,000 fine and an order to reimburse the victim for her medical bills. His victim had stood in that courtroom and asked the judge to put him behind bars for the trauma he caused her. Instead, he walked out with probation and a suspended sentence. So to be crystal clear and completely fair about the record, Adrien Broner was never convicted of a felony in this case. He pleaded guilty to misdemeanors, and he avoided jail at sentencing. But a guilty plea is still a guilty plea, and the consequences of that night were only just getting started. Because then came the civil lawsuit, and this is the one that still hangs over his head to this very day. In June of 2019, Catherine Larson sued Broner in civil court for damages. And Broner, in a pattern that would repeat itself over and over for years, essentially refused to fight it. His attorneys withdrew from the case. He stopped responding. He stopped showing up. So in December of 2019, the court entered a default judgment against him. After a damages hearing that Broner did not even bother to attend, Judge Nancy Margaret Russo awarded the woman a total of roughly $783,000, broken down into compensatory damages, a full $500,000 in punitive damages, attorney's fees, and court costs. In her ruling, the judge found that Broner had acted maliciously and that a substantial punitive award was necessary specifically to punish and deter him. With interest piling up over the following years, that judgment has grown to a figure reported at well over $830,000, and by some accounts north of $850,000. And according to the law firm that represents the victim, as of this year, Adrien Broner has not paid a single penny of it. Not 1 cent has reached the woman a court determined he assaulted. Now, simply failing to pay a court judgment is not automatically a one-way ticket to jail. But openly defying a judge's direct orders absolutely can be, and this is the beating heart of why jail keeps circling Adrien Broner. In late 2020, after Broner flashed those stacks of cash on Instagram while claiming under oath that he had $13, Judge Russo held him in contempt of court and had him jailed on the spot. She ordered that he stay locked up until he provided complete and truthful information about his finances to the victim's attorneys. The judge said, in open court, that Broner had continually defied every order she had given him, and that was far from the only time. In 2021, Broner was arrested in Kentucky on outstanding bench warrants tied to these cases, hauled back to Ohio, and jailed again. One of those jailings was specifically for a probation violation, after a judge found that he had failed to even enroll in the court-ordered alcohol treatment program that was a basic condition of his probation. There was yet another remand of several days for a second probation violation, this one tied to a Florida DUI that he admitted to in court. Read that pattern slowly, because it is the entire story in miniature. This is a man the courts have repeatedly tried to hold accountable, and who has repeatedly, by the court's own findings, thumbed his nose at them. And it is worth understanding that the Cleveland case did not come out of nowhere. It sat on top of a years-long pattern of run-ins with the law. Back in 2016, Broner was indicted in Cincinnati on charges stemming from an incident outside a bowling alley, and a judge ordered him to spend 30 days in jail for contempt after he showed up late to his own court date, with the judge bluntly telling him he was not going to duck this one. That same year, he faced a misdemeanor battery accusation in Las Vegas. In 2018, separate from the Cleveland case, he was charged with sexual battery in Atlanta after a woman accused him of groping her at a shopping mall, though it is important to note that Georgia prosecutors ultimately dismissed those particular charges. He drew widespread condemnation for a homophobic rant on his Instagram story. He was a wanted man in Florida more than once for failing to appear in court over a simple speeding case. Taken individually, any one of these might be written off. Taken together, stretching across nearly a decade, they form the portrait of a man who has treated the legal system as an inconvenience he could simply outrun. And that is exactly why the next development carried so much weight. Because in February of 2025, Adrien Broner revealed that he had been arrested yet again, this time in Cincinnati, picked up by police during a workout over outstanding warrants. He described officers pulling up on him and telling him they had to take him in. He was released on a $25,000 cash bond and was set to appear in court to answer for a probation violation. And according to reporting on that arrest, if he were found to be in violation, he could face up to 6 months in jail. So when people speculate that jail time is coming for Adrien Broner, they are not inventing it out of thin air for clicks. They are looking at a man with an unpaid sexual assault judgment that has already jailed him for contempt, a long and documented history of probation violations, and a fresh 2025 arrest, all stacked directly on top of one another. That is not a baseless prediction. That is a clearly established pattern with a long paper trail. And patterns like that tend to repeat. But let's be honest and precise about it, because the truth matters far more than the hype. As of right now, there is no public record of a brand new prison sentence that has been handed down and is simply waiting for a start date. Nobody has announced that Adrien Broner is reporting to a penitentiary on a specific day. What exists instead is genuine, documented legal jeopardy. The unpaid judgment is still sitting there, untouched. The contempt power of the court is still very much alive and on the table. The probation history is real, and his current behavior is arguably making all of it worse instead of better. Because while that judgment to his victim goes unpaid year after year, Adrien Broner has reinvented himself in the one arena he has left: live streaming. And it has become a genuine circus. Over the past year, Broner has become a fixture of the streaming and party clip world, often broadcasting alongside other online personalities for hours and even full days at a time. And a huge share of those clips go viral for all the wrong reasons. He is frequently, visibly intoxicated on camera. His conduct on stream while drinking has drawn heavy and repeated criticism, to the point that other prominent creators have publicly confronted him about it. When the hugely popular streamer Kai Cenat had Broner sit down for a segment tied to his streamer program, Cenat bluntly called out Broner's drinking right to his face and told him he needed to show real change. Broner, by most accounts, turned the whole thing into a joke and brushed it off, unable to take the criticism seriously. He has openly admitted on camera that liquor is his problem, even saying out loud that he needs to slow down, and then carried right on. And remember, this is the very same alcohol issue that the courts flagged years ago when they ordered him into a treatment program he never completed. The thing a judge once tried to force him to address is now playing out live for tips in front of a paying audience of strangers. And here is the cruel irony that defines this entire chapter of his life. Streaming is, financially, the best thing that has happened to Adrien Broner in years. He has claimed on stream to have pulled in as much as $250,000 in a single month, though that figure is entirely his own claim and remains unverified. But reports have also caught him at the complete opposite extreme. He has reportedly been reduced to selling Instagram promo posts for a few $100s each. A former world champion, monetizing his last remaining followers a few $100s at a time. And one widely shared clip showed him drunkenly trying to skip out on a roughly $2,000 restaurant bill, paying with crumpled cash from his pocket and telling the staff that it was all he could give. So the income is real, but it is wildly inconsistent. And it is being generated by putting his lowest, most chaotic moments on public display. The very thing keeping him financially afloat is the same thing broadcasting his decline to the world. And every single dollar he is seen flaunting on camera, while that $800,000 judgment to his victim goes unpaid, is exactly the kind of thing that put him in a contempt cell once before. He is, in a very real sense, repeating the precise mistake that already cost him his freedom. And here is why the streaming money, even if those big numbers are real, is very unlikely to be the rescue it looks like. Think about what we actually know about Adrien Broner and money. He earned an estimated $30 million in boxing, money that came in far larger, far more reliable chunks than any streaming check, and he still ended up testifying to $13 in the bank. The problem was never how much came in. The problem was always how fast it went out. And there is no evidence at all that the man flushing money away during his boxing days has suddenly developed financial discipline during his streaming days. If anything, the lifestyle that fuels the streams, the constant partying, the entourage, the drinking, is even more expensive and even more chaotic than before. On top of that, streaming income is famously volatile. The audience that finds you entertaining today gets bored tomorrow. A new personality rises up next week, and the tips that felt endless can dry up overnight. So you have a man with a documented inability to hold on to money, generating unstable income, while ignoring a court judgment that grows with interest every single year. It goes unpaid. That is not a recovery. That is the same financial death spiral, just on a different platform. And we genuinely do not have to imagine how this kind of story tends to end, because we have watched it happen to fighters before. The combat sports world is full of cautionary tales of larger-than-life champions who could not adjust to life after the final bell, who chased the spotlight through partying, controversy, and chaos because the roar of the crowd was the only thing that ever truly made sense to them. We have watched other former fighters, some of whom made far more money than Broner ever did, spiral through public meltdowns, legal trouble, and substance problems once the structure of training camp and competition disappeared from their lives. The ring, for all of its danger, gives a fighter discipline, purpose, and a reason to stay sharp every single day. Take that away from a man whose entire identity was built on being a warrior, and very often what rushes in to fill that empty space is exactly the kind of slow self-destruction we are watching with Broner right now. He even said it himself in one of his more honest moments on camera, admitting that he walks into the ring willing to put his life on the line, but suggesting that the lifestyle he is living outside the ring may now be the more dangerous fight of the two. The genuinely frightening part is that he might be completely right. It is worth stepping back here and remembering that there is a real human being underneath all of these viral clips, because this is genuinely a cautionary tale and not just cheap entertainment. Broner has spoken openly and emotionally about the weight of supporting a large family and about the pressure of being the provider even as the money dried up around him. People who actually know him describe a man who simply loves boxing too much to ever let it go, and who does not seem to know who he even is without it. The same relentless drive that made him a 4-division world champion at 25 appears to be hopelessly tangled up with the same impulses that have him spiraling at 36. We have all seen this exact movie before with other fighters and other stars who could never quite find an identity after the bright lights finally switched off. The difference in Broner's case is that his unraveling comes permanently chained to an unpaid debt owed to a woman a court said he assaulted. Which means his personal struggles and his legal jeopardy are not two separate stories. They are the same story, and they will rise or fall together. So let's put every piece of this together and answer the question this video started with, plainly and without exaggeration. Has Adrien Broner hit rock bottom? By almost any honest measure, the man who earned $30 million and now reportedly lives off streaming tips, who once confessed to $13 in the bank, who is watched falling apart in real time for the entertainment of strangers, is about as low as a former world champion can possibly get. And is jail time coming? There is no new sentence sitting on a calendar today, and we are not going to pretend to you that there is. But every single piece is already in place. An unpaid sexual assault judgment that has jailed him for contempt before, a a long, documented history of probation violations and ignored court orders, a 2025 arrest on outstanding warrants with real jail exposure attached, and a present-day lifestyle of flaunting cash on camera that practically dares a judge to act on it. Adrien Broner has spent his entire life being the most naturally talented man in almost every single room he ever walked into. The real tragedy is that the one opponent he could never outbox, never outtalk, and never slip away from turned out to be himself. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next deep dive. Check out the videos suggested on your screen.